Hi YouTube, it's Lena and I'm here today with my video of the top 5 and bottom 5 makeup empties that I had this year. This is an idea that Panning and stuff came up with. She does this every year. I actually asked her if I could do this last year and she's like, yeah, go ahead. I guess she wanted to see what other people had as well. And I've seen other people starting to do this as well, and it reminded me, hey, I need to film this. So I'm not done with my makeup empties for the year. I still got a couple of things that I think I can finish by the end of the year. So my actual makeup empties for the year will probably not go up until the beginning of January. Oh, that is the thing I hate the most to film, but I love to watch it in others. So, you know, gotta film it. I keep all the damn empties all year. I might as well film it. It's just a pain in the butt to edit, honestly. Anyways. Yeah, so let's get started with the bottom 5 this time so we can end on a high note. Now, a lot of these are more recent empties, actually. These are just the ones that stood out to me the most. I even went through my list of makeup empties for the year. I was like, yeah, a lot of these really sucked at the end of the year. All right. So first off, I've actually finished off 2 of these now. I just finished my other one the other day. This is the Dr. Brandt Pore Refiner Primer. I know some people love this, but I hated the smell of it. It smells like the Benefit Professional to me, which I also hate the smell of. And it left me feeling a little bit greasy, the formula just felt a little greasy on my skin. So, did not like it, but I had 2 of them. They weren't so bad that I couldn't use them up. I managed to get through them. Next is an older one, and even leaving out the whole conversation about Wet n Wild, I hated going through this product. I even got rid of the primer that matched this, the normal face primer, because the thing is, I can't stand the smell of this. It is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Cucumber 3-in-1 Primer Water that prep, set, and refresh. You can use it as a setting spray, which is how I used it. Oh, I'm not even gonna open it and remind myself of the smell, but it's the worst fake, nasty cucumbery smell on the planet. Thankfully, it only has 1.5 ounces of product in it, so it was pretty easy to go through. But ugh, this is a nasty smelling thing. No. Next is a brow pencil. I actually have a brow pencil on my top and bottom. This is the IT Cosmetics Brow Power Universal Taupe Shade. Now, one thing I hate about this is that to get a darker color, you're supposed to just press harder on it. But you press too hard on this and you're gonna end up ripping out your eyebrow hairs. This is a really dry formula, which I don't care for. Even brand new, when I got it from BoxyCharm in 2018, it's just a drier, thicker formula. And I was realizing at the end that this was giving me kind of boxy looking brows. I think I might have to give up on panning that e.l.f. brow wax because it does nothing to hold my brows in place and it bugs me. Sorry. Distractions. I happened to glance over in my mirror and I saw some of my eyebrow hair sticking up and I'm just like, ugh, again. Anyways, I don't love that there's only one color of this. I think that's stupid. And the tip on it is too thick for what I really want. I've just found I prefer, when I'm using a pencil, I prefer micro pencils. That's just a preference thing. I can get that little bit of a slightly more natural looking hair stroke versus this. I don't even like the spoolie on this. It's too soft. And when I got to the end, it was actually scratching at my face, and that's how I stopped using it. But I finished it. It lasts forever, so I can at least say if you buy the full size, you get your money's worth. But ooh, I did not care for it. This was the bane of my existence for a couple of months before I realized that there was just no saving it and I gave up. It is the Ciate London Fierce Flicks eyeliner. Now, it does have a rich black shade right there, and as you can see, it's not dried out at all. I just couldn't use it anymore. The problem with this is that it does not stay on my lids where I put it. It ends up all over my eyelid by the, not even the end of the day, within a couple of hours if I don't set it. And even if I do set it, if I have a long day, it still would not stay in place. So I was just like, forget this. I've used this for several months. I've gotten the worth of it. I got it in a box even. I got it in a FabFitFun box. So I was like, you know what? I don't need to suffer this. I'm done with you. I think I have gotten my money's worth or whatever. And finally, for the bottom 5, it is the Beauty Bakery Flour Better Not Bitter Baking Powder. Now, I just have a mini, and one of the hugest problems I had with this was a packaging flaw. This thing came with no sifter on it. Now, it is true that more often than not, I rip out the sifter before the end so I can get the last dregs of the product. But this has no sifter. It never came with one. The first time I opened it, I did not realize that, and I spilt probably half of it all over myself and my floor. So packaging fail right there on the mini. I can't base that mini versus full size. So the full size might have a sifter. I have no idea. Now, that said, that would not be enough to put it in literally my bottom 5 of the year, but the powder itself is really, really thick. And I know that it is specifically made to be like a face baking powder. So maybe it's just something that's not meant for me, but it is because of the thickness of that powder, I finally found a powder that was too much powder for my oily skin. I never thought I'd see the day, but Beauty Bakery made it. I still want to try more from this brand. I just haven't had any luck so far. Anyways, let's move on to the top 5. Now, first I have an honorable mention. The reason why it's an honorable mention is because it is discontinued, but it is the Calvin Klein lipstick in the shade Spiked. Now, these were a specific formula. I think it was like some like sheen formula or something like that. Like, I can't even get a really good swatch out of it anymore. I know I could dig in there, but I don't like digging into lipsticks. I just don't. So, and I do have other colors like this, but one of my favorites was the color, and I just like these nice sheen formulas that give a little bit of life back to the lips, a little bit of shine. I love me a good matte every once in a while, but it's hard for me to fully move away from a nice, you know, sheening, glossy lip like that. I think it's just the late 90s kid in me that likes, you know, gloss. But I did really enjoy that. That was definitely like the favorite lipstick that I worked on this year. Color too, although I know I have other colors like this in my collection. This is definitely just one of my favorite colors to wear. But because it's discontinued, it is an honorable mention. As far as I know of, all of these products are available though. First is the other brow pencil. I actually really fell in love with the ColourPop brow pencil this year. It is technically called the ColourPop Brow Boss. Now, this shade is dark brown. I got it in my subscription edition swap. It comes with a nice spoolie on it. I think my better shade would probably be taupe. I tend to go a little dark on the brows when I have my hair dyed like this, because otherwise my brows kind of blend into my face. But especially if I'm rocking a more natural color on myself. I can't even get a swatch out of it anymore. I used it to death. If I'm rocking a slightly more natural color, I definitely need to go more on the shade of like taupe. It's a really good formula. It did last me 2 months, which most brow pencils only last me 1 to 2 months. I almost threw in a Maybelline pencil in here because it only lasted me a month, but I decided not to, and I didn't want to put 2 of the same product in, and I definitely hated that IT Cosmetics brow pencil more. But this, it's just a good formula. It's got the nice balance of creamy versus, I don't want to say dry, but it's not too creamy that it, you know, moves everywhere or anything like that, but it's definitely creamy enough to actually use. It has a lot of colors to it, which I appreciate, and these are like $5 or $6. So even though it only lasted me 2 months, I could buy multiples of it and be set for 6 months to a year, depending on how many that I buy, without breaking the bank. So yes, I really did enjoy that. Next is something I unfortunately cannot purchase because I'm going cruelty free, but I decided to not base my picks on whether or not I can actually purchase them again this year. I just stuff that I liked the best, and if they were cruelty free, I would repurchase. It is the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear Foundation. This is just a little mini, but that's just what I got. It is from a Sephora coupon code. Now this shade is 140 Ivory Neutral, but mine would be a little bit lighter because pale ass bitch right here. this lasted through like a 18-hour wear day on me, and nothing ever does, but this did without going oily. It lasted through I'll be honest, it lasted through a pretty, not intense, but it lasted through a friend of mine's bachelorette party, I guess. Like, we went to a bar the night before 2 of my friends got married. And the reason why I had to last so long throughout the day is because I drove to Illinois to get to said wedding. So it lasted from like 7 o'clock that morning until, God, like 11 o'clock that night when we finally went to sleep. So it lasted through an insane day. I didn't get oily. I sincerely wish I could purchase this again, because if I could, I definitely would. And if they ever go cruelty-free, I will snatch this bitch up in a heartbeat. Next is something in the same boat of I wish I could purchase it again, but I can't. It is the Sephora Cream Lip Stain. I will have to insert the actual name of the color, but it is this, you know, kind of dusty lilac shade right here. Now, you don't get much product in these minis. I'm having to like scrape out a swatch for you right there. But I did use it up, and it's a nice liquid lip without being too drying. It's not the perfect stay all day type of formula, but I will give up some wear time in an effort to not feel like my lips are being sucked off of my face in a not fun way. That's get you a little bit better shot of it right there. So I wish I could purchase that again. I have a few other minis in different colors that I will happily use up, but I can't purchase it again. The Sephora brand isn't cruelty free. Next is something that if I could get it in America, I would happily purchase again. It is the Ultra 3 Lightening Shade Adjusting Drops. Now, when I threw this in a project pan, I didn't even realize how much of it I had already used up. It's only half an ounce, so it's not a ton of product in there, but I just found that this lightened my foundation without adding any heaviness to it. Like, it's all gone. It makes me sad. And I don't have the best spatula on the planet, so I scraped out what I could, but I really can't scrape out too much. But I just really liked the texture of this. What I'm using now that is close but not quite is the LA Girl Pro Coverage High Definition. It's technically their foundation, but they make a white shade for mixing. And that's definitely doing the job, but I really wish I could purchase this again because I like this formula a little bit better. I think the Body Shop carries something like this in this dropper formula that might be comparable, but you can only purchase that from their website. You can't get that on the Ulta website. Like, I got the LA Colors thing, so I really wish I could get this again. I would if I could. And finally, what is probably one of my favorite primers in existence, the Black Radiance True Complexion Shine Control Primer. Now, this is made by Markwins, who is the parent company of Wet n Wild, but as far as I know of, they don't sell in China, so I would purchase this again. But it's a shine control primer. It does keep me matte. It is like $5 or $6. I can't quite remember if it's $4.95 or $5.95. It's not quite an ounce. It's only 0.84 ounces, but this still lasted me months of daily usage, so not worried about that. I'm surprised I didn't cut this open, but I think this was one where I was like bending it all different kinds of ways. Yeah, because it's bending in my hand very easily. So I didn't need to cut it open, but I like the kind of lotiony consistency of it. I've actually done a first impression on this years ago, but this year I went ahead and used it up. So yeah, just the only problem with this is that Black Radiance is kind of hard to find, but you can buy it on Amazon and they have Prime shipping. So that is just, once I go through a few primers next year, I will pick this back up, and that's where I'm going to buy it from. So that is it. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I do really appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you later. Bye.